Well, in order to move forward and try to bring you honest information, I've got to go back. And I want to go back to where, as most of you know, we did shut down our dealership, and I use the term, as most people do, as COVID. But to be honest with you, it all started happening even before the COVID. The COVID was the icing on the cake. Uh, what had happened to us? Of course, it was Shane and I, my son and I, in our. Excuse me, just a minute. You may experience some interruption, but I've got to lower this down a little bit. Good. And anyway, Shane was going through a divorce. And it took a lot of personal motivation out of him. I guess the biggest mistake that I want to point out to you is that he did not do his due diligence in the cars. I mean, I looked up, and our inventory normally we tried to stay around 15 to 20 cars. A month. That was about it for us, the size of our dealership. All at once, I looked up, this was about December, January, before COVID. Over 50% of our inventory was in standard transmission vehicles. We had like 2012 Honda Accords, very nice car, decent miles on it, 5-speed. Now, as you well know, if you don't know, this video is to let you know that your buying market in that type of a vehicle is primarily young ladies. And even if it is young men as well, they're just not educated or trained enough to drive 5-speed transmissions. So when you look up and over 50% of your used car inventory is 5 speeds, you're not buying right. You got to keep in mind the cars that you're buying, who your market is for that type of car, and if you do that, like I said, and wind up buying. Shane was out, and he just wasn't paying attention. I mean, he was really, really, he was desperate to buy. And a lot of times he would go on the purchase price of the vehicle, and he would see it cheap, and then lo and behold, he would go out to test drive the car and realize that he had bought a car with a 5-speed. Now, this happens to all of us. Occasionally we slip up and we buy a car that we didn't expect very well. But when you can't open the door, you choose not to open the door on a car and see if it's got a clutch or not. And this is just a stupid mistake. I hate to say it. I'm not throwing off on Shane. I'm just telling a fact the way it is. And that's what ate our lunch. Now, I've had some comments out there that I want to talk about that are about the floor plan. It can help you grow your business. Well, that's true in one sense, but it can also, what it did for Shane, once he got that floor plan, he got careless. It was like it wasn't his money to invest anymore. And that's where, when the floor plan company called all of our cars to be picked up, quite honestly, the only thing we had was standard transmission cars, Honda Accords, Toyotas, Volkswagens. Everything was standard transmission. Now, I want to take this time to let you know that we had $13,000 in escrow with our floor plan company. And rather than working with us and allowing us to liquidate our own vehicles, they chose to pick those vehicles up and used our $13,000. They didn't give us a chance to move the vehicles. We just lost all of our escrow money. We have no idea what the cars brought. Um, uh, the floor plan company did us wrong on that, in my opinion. We were given no concessions at all. Like I said, we still haven't received any information as to what the cars sold for, and even if we just don't expect to see a dime out of that money we had in escrow. Now, what we did, we elected to put back $100 for every car that we had sold that we bought on the floor plan. And by doing that, that's where this $13,000 escrow was built up. But like I said, the trouble started with Shane not paying attention and buying too many standard shift vehicles. And then it escalated, obviously, when COVID hit. That took a chunk out of our market. People coming by, we couldn't sell cars, and any car we had done maxed out what was left on the floor plan. He had maxed it out with standard shift cars. So we were not in a good situation when the COVID hit us. And so that's what I want to let you know is that, guys, when you go out here and get a floor plan, I still don't condone them. As a matter of fact, I still have cars now that are bought and paid for with my own money. And so, I don't feel bad about those because they're bought and paid for. Nobody can take them away from me. If I want to lose money on them, then I lose money on them. I may make some money on them. But regardless of that, the floor plan company, like I said, they had us. They had the titles to the vehicles. There was absolutely nothing we could do. Might as well allow them to pick them up, which they did. And we wrote off the $13,000. Well, that was it. We had nothing to sell, nothing to buy, nothing to buy it with. I had personally been financing some of these cars out of my back pocket, paying for them. And so I kept what I had paid for. Some of the more expensive cars, as I've told you so many times on my video, is these damned expensive cars will eat your lunch. Just because you go out and buy a $10,000 used car, you're not going to buy a trouble-free car. You're going to wind up with something that has to be done to that car, and then if you put it on the floor plan, then you've got additional fees there, the auction fees, and so, no, I hate floor plans. Not the floor plan company as much as the carelessness. Ours was just total bone carelessness. I can't really say that, and I hate to. I don't want to make it sound like I'm blaming Shane, because I sat there and I would. Hey, another damn 5-speed coming in here. Who are you going to sell this to? Our market, we sold literally in 3 years, probably I can count on one hand how many standard shifts that we sold. And when you look up, and we had if my memory serves me right, we had like $130,000 floor plan. We owed only $30,000 on like 8 cars that we had, but they were all standard shifts. So we could have got out. I don't think that we were out of equity or out of trust, that $13,000, but the floor plan company exercised their privilege, took the $30,000 worth of cars that they had out there, took our $13,000, which put them into $17,000 on 8 late model cars. Even though they were standard shift, they come out really, really well on that, and that's what they're in business to do. If you do stupid things, They're in business to watch you do stupid things and then capitalize off of them. So you're not going to see many companies out there that don't ask you or force you in most cases to put back X number of dollars on a vehicle that you purchase on the floor plan. And we did it, and we wound up losing all that. So if you're going to do a floor plan, watch out for it. I mean, if you do, like Shane had, don't get me wrong, he had a lot on his mind. The divorce, they had just bought a home. It was really amazing that he was holding up as well as he was. And you know, I wish I had had the balls, quite honestly, to say, look, you know, you're making too many mistakes here that I know you're going through a lot personally, but I didn't do that. I let him go, and that's where we wound up. So I've gone a little bit longer, but there's a lot of comments that I have neglected, and this is one of them. You know, what's the floor plan? Can it help you grow? Yes, it can help you grow. But if you don't watch what you're doing, and if you don't treat that, it is your money. Just because you're being loaned the money or floor planning it, most of you know that, and I certainly knew it, and certainly paid the consequences for keeping my mouth shut. Anything that I bought, even if I did put it on the floor plan, I paid it off. I did that. I never purchased a vehicle that they took back. Every one of my vehicles that I bought, even if I did temporarily use the floor plan, when it matured, I paid it off immediately. I never reinstated anything. And I would strongly advise you to do the same. Again, please subscribe to this channel. I look forward to the next video, and may God bless you all.